Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So I'm a huge fan of the movie Groundhog Day. Came out in 1993 with Bill Murray and Andy McDowell. Good movie. It did about 100 million at the box office, which is pretty surprising for that type of movie, but I just enjoyed it thoroughly. And I'm a weird guy. I like the holiday Groundhog Day on February the 2nd, one of my favorite holidays, because there's always that hope that spring will come early. So I'm always looking for the early spring, always looking to get that. Now the movie I want to go over a little bit. The movie's about a cynical TV weatherman. If you've never seen it, finds himself reliving the same day over and over again. Now he then goes on location to a small town of Punxsutawney to film a report about their annual Groundhog Day. His predicament drives him to distraction until he sees a way of turning it into his advantage in the movie. So it's kind of a nice movie. But one of my favorite lines in this movie is, "I was in the Virgin Islands once. I met a girl. We ate lobster. We drank pina coladas. At sunset, we made love like sea otters. That was a pretty good day. Why couldn't I relive that one over and over again?" Well, with this pandemic, I feel like we're reliving days that we don't want to relive over and over again. March of 2020 is back, and we're now in 2022. The kids, some of them are back to virtual learning again. Oy, not sure that they know anything more about this virus than they did before. Maybe a little bit. There's been more boosters and other shots, and I didn't want to get into all of these things, but it seems just when we think we have figured it out, there is another variant coming out. Now cases are up again through the roof with this new Omicron strain. And there's even a new one now in France, which I read today, but apparently that's called IHU. Where they come up with these names, I don't know, but they said that is not a big deal. Oh yeah, sure. It is not a big deal. Famous last words that we have heard through this whole entire thing. I hope everybody is safe, because it is just crazy with all the stuff that we've been doing here. Plus, it's winter now and it's cold, and it's just, couldn't we be reliving the nice summer day over and over again? Hopefully we can move forward at some point and wake up and not hear, "Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties because it's cold out there." With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She is a former New York City television reporter with WNBC TV. Now she's raising children's dogs. She's doing everything. Let's welcome Lori Bordonaro to Len's Burning Bush. And Lori, I'm going to bring you on here. And I'm going to try to do this because, again, we're doing new stuff with YouTube. And, now I've got video and audio. I don't even know what I'm doing. But, Lori,
I don't know, but it's really, really impressive. I don't know what you're doing either, but I'm glad I'm on and I made it on.
It's amazing. So what are your thoughts? Is it Groundhog Day, or am I just making this up? Did you like that movie?
Yes, I like that movie, but I don't want to relive it.
No.
And I agree. I've been saying the same thing for the past couple of weeks. I feel like it is March, April 2020 all over again. I get up, I put on my sweats, I don't take them off. Same thing day after day. And, I really do hope there's some light at the end of this tunnel.
You would think after almost 2 years, because, at work, I've been working from home. God, it's been, probably 15 years I've worked from home. So it's nothing new to me. But I got to be honest, there are several days in a row. I mean, during Christmas break, I hardly put pants on, Lori. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I'm so embarrassed to say this. There was a day like I didn't even shower. I was like, whatever, I go outside, I put on a mask, I put on a hat. Yeah. No one can see me. So, I'm just walking the dog. It's a little sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. I went to the doctor too, and I asked her, I said, with the whole mask thing, and she's like, I asked her about the booster shot, and I said, what's the deal with the booster shot? Should I get it? And she's like, you're kind of a sitting duck if you don't.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, well, what the heck? I already had COVID back last November. I've got the vaccines, and now I'm, whatever. And I'm not, again, this is not about getting the vaccine. I figured I'd ask her because I'd like to hear it from the doctor, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sick of hearing it on Facebook, get your booster shot or get whatever. Everybody's a doctor, or they like to play one on TV, right? That's the old. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Exactly. So I asked the doctor who knows. I mean, she sees it all the time, and she said, you're kind of like a sitting duck. So I said, okay, I'll do it. What the heck? I'm trying.
I mean, and then, but then you think, oh, hey, I'm boosted or I've got the vaccine and I'm fine. I'm totally immune to getting this, but it's totally not true. So
no. And what people don't understand, right? I mean, people have no idea is the flu shot, right?
Right.
For a year. I've never gotten a flu shot. I've not been one to do it because the 2 times I actually got the flu, I asked the doctor if I had gotten the shot would have helped. And they said no. And I'm like, well, at that point, what's the point? But I understand that you'd rather be less of the flu. Right. My mother always used to get the flu shot and she would get so sick. And I'm like, well, what's the point? Right. But I understand you don't want to, obviously you don't want to die from flu. You don't want to die from COVID. So we're trying to do the best we can. And people don't understand that just because you get the shot doesn't mean you're not going to get it. You're just going to get it less severe. Right.
Right. And we've been really lucky. I think you said you had COVID. We've been really lucky here. No one in our family has had it. So, we sort of thought we were out of the way, and now Omicron. So, we're back to staying inside again. And we're in New York City. So, it's pretty rampant here.
Yeah. You got a new mayor now. I don't know if that's going to help anything, but I know that everything was crazy with the other one. We'll see how that goes. But, it's different. Obviously, I'm in Kentucky, Lori. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want. I go to restaurants. I go to bars. I do all these things. But again, I'm taking precautions with the things I do. But it's not. And I feel the worst. The ones I feel the worst for is the kids. Because, they're living this, adults, we already enjoyed our youth. Well, at least some of us, whatever. We enjoyed our youth, and these kids are just, they instead of getting snow days now, they're getting NTI days or days of instruction or whatever you want to call it, and they're not allowed to just be a kid anymore. We are so bad with that. It's like it started with youth sports, and then academia does the same thing. We want these kids to grow up way too quickly, and they have no direction.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, you and I, and yesterday, it was snowing here in New York City. Normally we would have a snow day. They made it a remote day. So I took my daughter and her friend as soon as the sun came out, 7:20 yesterday morning in Central Park. They were sledding, pure happiness, pure joy. It was so nice to see that. But by 8:00, we had to come in. We had hot chocolate and they had to do remote school. So
yeah, I don't like that. I think that the teachers, they don't understand. It's like, did you ever see, there was a movie with Adam Sandler where he, Mr. Deeds. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mr. Deeds is it's a funny movie. And there's a lot of great John Turturro's in it where he goes, you cannot underestimate the level of sneakiness. But the movie is towards the end, they say, if your 12-year-old self knew what you were doing now, trying to make money off this, how would you look upon it? And it was like, my 12-year-old self would kick my butt, and that's kind of where we're at. As adults, we do a terrible job with children. We are just awful. We rush them to grow up. These youth sports are, instead of just enjoying going outside and playing youth sport, even in academics or anything that you get involved in, they want you to commit. And it's a job. I coached baseball for 9 years, and I would tell these kids every opening day, it is just beautiful. Just enjoy this. Don't worry about, you have enough time to be miserable like us.
It's true. And, we were kids, you and I, we didn't have all these electronics. Now it's cell phones, it's iPads, it's an Apple Watch. It's nonstop with the electronics, and it's so hard. And I see it a lot with my son. I'm like, come on, we have to go out. We have to go to the park. We need to exercise. We need to be kids. We need to get fresh air. And he's just like, I want to stay inside. I love my video games. So, it's hard. We didn't have those distractions as kids. We just had to have fun. We had to make up games. We had to do hide and seek. Yeah. We had to do all of these things that, looking back, we probably complained we were bored, but it was so good for us.
Oh, no, it was great. And I had a group of friends and I brought them on a show back in my day. And we talk about how great we had it at 12 years old. Now, we did have video games. We had the Atari 2600 and we had Nintendo. You had all those things in television, whatever they were. But it just didn't seem like it was as big a deal as it is now, where, again, there are now where you could go to school for EA Sports, and all these companies now are professionals. Like they're having professionals, but I don't know. I wish that we would just take, I think a lot of times we want to rush stuff and like smell the roses, like, just take a breath. And you would think with the pandemic it would be better, but I don't know if it's any better than it was. I know for me personally, I feel better because I'm getting to talk to wonderful people like you every week.
Yeah.
And it helps me because they asked me at the doctor's office, "Are you depressed?" And I go, "No, I've enjoyed, all this time rekindling friendships and people I worked with. And it's been a lot of fun for me, but I'm on the minority on this one, I think."
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people can get depressed now. It's freezing. You can't go outside. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to the gym. I mean, I see where you can get a little bit depressed. So, so it is so nice to connect, at least even if it's online.
Absolutely. Well, talk a little bit about what you're doing now. You were on we worked together back in the Metro days in the Fifth Avenue, the Fortunoff building. And
you gave me my first broadcasting job.
Yes.
At Metro Networks.
Look at this.
Yes. Oh. And look, here we are. My first, and this is so funny, I think back when you first hired me, Saturdays overnight, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Oh.
How I did that is beyond me because I can't even stay up past 9 o'clock now.
No. Well, that was the thing. I mean, we used to go out at 11 o'clock. Now I'm on 2 hours. I'm already 2 hours of sleep by then.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But you did tremendous. You of course I saw something in you, which and again, you went on to do other things, and you were on WNBC in New York. You were doing reporting there. Talk a little bit about that, and then tell us what you're doing now.
Oh gosh, I spent 7 years at WNBC. Amazing. This industry, it's such a tight-knit group of people who work in the media. So it's such a community among all of the news people, working crazy hours, working holidays. So I've gotten to meet so many people over the last however many years, and also just getting to cover events and getting to travel around the tri-state. It's been really amazing. And then about a couple of years ago, I decided to step back, spend some more time with the kids, and just be home and be able to take them to their activities and do all of those things after school. That was definitely a transition. And now, as you know, I work with Animal Lighthouse Rescue in New York City. We rescue animals. We have a big transport coming in today from South Carolina. We rescue a lot of our dogs, most of our dogs, from Puerto Rico. It's really rewarding. These dogs come in, I find them homes. I sometimes bring them home on the plane with me from Puerto Rico. And it's just really a lot of fun and really exciting when I get people who send me updates on their dogs, these dogs who were strays or didn't have a home. And now, they're all cozy by the fire and they're happy. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. My wife, Susan, is an animal. She's animal lover.
Yeah.
She works as a vet tech, so she gets involved. And we unfortunately lost our dog of 10 years. And then we wound up getting another dog. Now it's a project. His name is Ozzy. We got him from a rescue.
Yep.
And it's kind of nice to do that. Give a dog a home. He is adjusting.
How's the transition? Yes.
Well, he's a really sweet dog, but he has his moments where he barks at people in the house. I'll go out of the bedroom sometimes and I'll come in and he starts barking at me. Like, I mean, come on, I live here. This is my house. But no,
it's an adjustment. Yeah. It takes a couple of months to really settle in. And especially depending on whatever his past was,
Yeah, somebody did a number on this dog. He's a younger dog and he's really sweet though. I mean, he's got his moments. It's like he's got like that sweet, but you got to be careful, right? They have they're dogs, right? I mean, they got big teeth. You got to be careful.
Is he big?
He's mixed like 45, 50 pounds. But he's a combination shepherd and border collie, we think. He's a nice looking dog. But yeah, I don't know why people go to like a pet store or whatever. Just there's so many dogs. Give Lori a call and get a nice
dog. Many. Just call me. The dogs that we have coming in today from South Carolina, they were all on the euthanasia list. So these are dogs that literally were going to get put down just because the shelters were overcrowded. So, if we can do our part, we really try hard. So yes, go check us out, Animal Lighthouse Rescue. We've got some newbies coming in today. So
now, with all that you're doing now, maybe when the kids get older, do you think you get back into broadcasting, or are you going to just hang out?
I joked about it a lot when I first left. I was like, I'll be back. And then COVID hit, and then I said, I'm gonna just take this time, so I'm not around a lot of people. And I still think there are days where I say I'll go back, and especially just sitting here talking to you today. It makes me definitely miss it.
Well, I kept my kind of toe in the water a little bit, but it was about 10 years when I didn't. So I always did play-by-play for high school sports here in Cincinnati. Right. And then I kind of took a break for like 10 years when the kids were little. And I wound up going back about 4 or 5 years ago. And I just kept doing that. And, we had a situation at work, when COVID first hit, I started to think like, what am I going to do with, like, if something happens at work, where do I turn? And I always knew that I could turn to this if I had to. And how do I do that? And now, that's where this all kind of started. Like, how do I fill my time? And I realized I could retire pretty comfortably in the terms of I wouldn't be bored. Let's put it that way. I have so many little things that I do.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not bored.
No.
But when you do something, I think, for so long, and especially a career that you worked so hard to get to, it's hard to leave that behind. That's for sure. So I never say never.
No, you would never say never, because I'm the same way. I never thought I would be doing this. If you would have told me when we talked 20 years ago, I would never even know, this is kind of not what I thought I was doing. But during the pandemic, a lot of people are watching television, watching stuff. Now, we have a tradition in our house where we watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy almost every night. We at least record Jeopardy if we don't watch it. And I've been watching the run of Amy Schneider, who is at this moment, over $1 million. If you're, sorry, spoiler alert.
It's okay.
But do you watch Jeopardy?
I haven't watched it in a while, I'll be honest. But I get very excited when I get the answers.
Yes. Well, I enjoy it because it's very therapeutic for me. I have a lot of useless information in my head. I'm a good guesser.
Great.
And with all that, I do okay. But there's a lot of topics I have no clue about. Like when they start going into literature and, I don't know anything about Greek mythology, and I'm not good. Like me, sports, television. I was one of those kids that were thrown in front of the television. I love TV, so I can give you a lot of stuff in the 70s. And what's funny, my father-in-law lives with us now, and he's 93, God bless him.
Wow.
And one of the things he likes is a lot of the older shows. We'll watch the 70s Kojak. We'll watch 70s. We were watching the Rockford Files, and it gets you back to where these shows were pretty good in the 70s. Like, we don't realize how good they really were. And it was violent, but it wasn't as violent as the shows on today. Like, you could watch those.
So violent now. Yeah.
But speaking of violence, I don't know if you saw this, but Amy Schneider was robbed at gunpoint. They showed in Oakland. She tweeted about a robbery to her followers, and she said she was shaken up, but otherwise she was okay. Yeah. She lost her ID, her credit cards, and her phone, and she couldn't sleep. She also, I think she said she was a little bit sick, but she's doing okay. Of course, everybody, there are people that don't like her or whatever. I say, you should just let her win as much as she can win. God bless. That's what I say.
Let her go and be happy for people.
Yeah. Now, exactly. I enjoy Jeopardy, and I love when, and I like Ken Jennings hosting, because I think it's great that he could actually put himself in her shoes, because he was in that, he did it for 74 games. I mean, he knows exactly what's going on, and he does bring it up, that she's now the fourth millionaire, and in regular season, in Jeopardy, and she does a good job, and she's apparently right in between her Ken and Holzhauer, and Matt Amodio was another one that they brought up. So I enjoy. I love it when people win, and it's going to be fun. But getting back to, we talked about working, and now you're doing and maybe retiring. Well, there's companies out there that are understanding that it is rough to actually go and work, right? It's 5 days a week. You're sweating. You're doing 40, 60 hours a week. Well, There is a company in San Francisco now that is doing a 4-day work week permanently
Nice.
for people. It's called Unicorn Bolt. It's a San Francisco based e commerce developer piloted program last fall, and it's overwhelmingly positive, which you would think it would be. That's according to the CEO, Ryan Breslaw. But he couldn't imagine running a company in any other way. He said productivity has increased, work has been streamlined, employees have been happy. He took a survey at the end of the 3-month period, found 94% of the workers and 91% of the managers wanted the program to continue. And I agree wholeheartedly. It's like the old saying, happy wife, happy life. Well, happy employees.
Right.
It just makes things so much better when everybody's happy, right?
Yeah. And I don't see why more companies don't jump on board and do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, 4-day work week is kind of a nice thing. Maybe you work, 10 hours a day or, even if you work 8, it doesn't,
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. I think we should do more of it. I think the problem has been that, a lot of these companies now, they're not getting workers anymore. Nobody
Nobody wants to work.
No, I don't know what it is. I mean, please, you find something you like. There's so many things you could do.
I think that's the problem too. I think you have to really find what you like. And I think that's why, for myself, that I always had really good work ethic because I always enjoyed what I did. I didn't care if I had to work crazy hours or holidays or whatever. I think when you really find that passion or that thing, you're going to work harder.
Absolutely. Now, we had some bad weather over the last couple of weeks, and of course, winter's here. And, I'll tell you, if I never, I know I'm from the East Coast and I shouldn't be bitching and moaning about snow. I really, but I'm at a point now in my life where if I only saw it once a year, I'd be very happy. Like, I don't need it. It's because what people don't understand is that we're not out making snow angels in it anymore. Right? Only the kids can make snow angels. We're sitting there. You get your hot cocoa once in a while, but we have to work. We have to drive. We have to commute in it. And there was, I don't know if you saw, but last week on I-95 in Virginia, former traffic reporters, I figured you would enjoy this. They had a storm, which really, I'm beginning to think that they don't want to go out and clean the roads anymore, but they never used to have this happen the way it does now. But this is interesting, kind of a story. A Maryland couple was stranded on 95 in Virginia, but they did something really good because it was like 20 something hours, 30 hours. They hadn't eaten. And there was a bread truck or bakery truck that was on the road. And they decided that all it took was a phone call to ask permission from the bread truck that was there in front of them, whether they could use it. So they got in touch with apparently the CEO, and this is Casey Holohan and her husband, John No. They were driving home from a visit with their family in North Carolina. And of course, they were pretty hungry and tired, as you can imagine. And about 9 a.m. Last Tuesday, they saw a truck from Schmidt Baking Company ahead of them, and they hadn't eaten for 37 hours. So they figured, you know what, let's try it. Chuck Patakaris, one of the owners of H&S Bakery, which owns Schmidt Baking, was on the phone. He directed the driver, Ron Hill, to distribute bread to the stranded motorists, and that was a really good thing. He did it to it was more than 50 cars got bread and whatever, and I mean that's working together, isn't it?
And that's what it's all about, Len. Just you're in a situation like that, do good for the community. I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine what these people were even going through. And I actually read a lot of stories, and there was another story about an Uber driver with a young girl in the car, and I think he actually brought her to a hotel somewhere, paid out of his own pocket to get her a hotel room for the night. So, just so many amazing stories that came out from such a horrible experience.
Yeah, I think even what was it? It was the senator of Virginia was in there for 30 something hours. Also, he was stuck. Tim,
what would you do if you were stuck?
I don't know. I mean, I remember we were heading back to New Jersey one Thanksgiving weekend. And we left on Tuesday night. I think it was supposed to be a snowstorm on Wednesday. So we left earlier than we normally do. And I don't like to go at night anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't. I'm a morning person. So I like to leave at 3 a.m.
You're like me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like to drive at night. People do that. I get tired at like midnight and I can only go 4 to 6 hours. But the other way, I could do 10 to 12 hours nonstop. Right. So anyway, we're driving and we get into a situation where there's an accident ahead and the road is shut down for like 2 hours. And I'm just, I'm sleeping in the car because I'm like, what are you going to do?
Right.
But I couldn't imagine 37 hours. I don't know what I would do.
Me either. And I get claustrophobic too, having all the cars and trucks around. I would have to get out.
Yeah, well, plus it's cold. You got to make sure you got all your woolies on, because if it's cold out, then it's just I don't know.
Do you keep all? I mean, I'm not really driving that much, but do you keep all those supplies in your car? Like
no, I do not. I have jumper cables. That's about it. Jumper cables and a couple of things, but I do not have the survival kit. Granola bars. I don't do that. I should, but
you should.
No, we actually had stuff packed because we were going away. But I don't know I don't remember if we had anything. I think we had snacks. We did have snacks because we like to snack in the car. We're snackers.
Yeah. Always have to have snacks.
Yeah. So if I do the long trip, we will bring snacks. So I guess in that case, but if I'm driving like a normal trip for work, so like Michigan and back, I don't. And that's a 5-hour drive. I really should. So you brought up a good point. See, this is why I like to have these conversations. Now, unfortunately, before New Year's, and we talked about it last week, we lost Betty White. Just terrible. She would have been turning 100 on the 17th of January. But Betty White's hometown of Oak Park, Illinois, has declared January 17th, 2022, Betty White Day in memoriam of the beloved Golden Girls actress who died on the final day of 2021. The day's festivities will include a giant birthday cake, specials at local businesses, and a Betty White mural contest. And of course, all of her favorite foods. And because, people are talking about this, now that we brought you up as far as the animals, everybody's trying to, do some good, where Betty was so great with animals. She liked them a lot better than people, and I don't blame her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she was a huge animal advocate, and a lot of these rescue groups are asking, in honor of Betty White, can you donate $5 on January 17th in honor of her? And I think it's a great idea because she would certainly be thrilled about that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's she was a treasure. One thing that's great about what the time we live in now is you can go and watch. I was remembering I was watching an episode or a documentary, and I saw like somebody's brother. They had lost somebody, and said he was a celebrity, and you get to see just put the YouTube video on for 40 minutes, and you get he's like in the room, right? You're watching the person with Bob Einstein. They did a documentary on Netflix, I believe, or HBO Max rather, and it was on. Bob was Super Dave Osborne. He played in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and his brother basically said, his brother was Albert Brooks, but his other brother basically said, hey, I can watch him, just turn it on every once in a while. If I miss him, I could do that. And with Betty White, there's so many good clips of her, and you just start laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
That was a sad way to end the year.
Yeah, definitely one way. So there's a story. So I told you we live in Kentucky now.
Yes.
So we moved in 2001. It's from New York to Kentucky. It is a lot different, but I will say, as different as it is, it's close, right? The cost of living is a third of what it is in New York, so I like that. Can't get good bagels and stuff like that, but now I think there's a way I could get them delivered. So
I was going to say, I'll just send them to you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But there's a Kentucky family that apparently got some mail from Windsor Castle in England.
Interesting.
Yeah, Caitlin Sutherland checked the mail on December 27th. She wasn't expecting to find a letter addressed to her daughter, Jalen, with a royal stamp on it. It was mixed in with the mail. The excitement came from the royal idea the family had back on Halloween. 2-year-old Jalen dressed head to toe in the gear to resemble Queen Elizabeth II for her Halloween costume. So from a matching light blue jacket, she had the hat, the wig, the pearls. I wonder if she did the queen wave, but she looked like Her Majesty, and the outfit was complete with the family corgis, the Rascal and Jack. Now the letter read, "Her Majesty thought it was kind of you to write her, and the Queen was pleased to see the photograph of your daughter, Jalen, in her splendid outfit. It was signed by the Lady in Waiting, Mary Morrison, who is the female personal assistant to a court. Since Jalen's so young, Caitlin tried to keep her understanding of the importance of the letter a little bit better. She put the hat on the way they used the costume, and the two danced around the kitchen in excitement." How great is that? The Queen recognizing a 2-year-old dressing up as the Queen. Huh? So there is there is some life in the royal in the Windsor Castle. I never was a big fan of the royal family, but now maybe I can get on board with this.
You and me both. There's such a fascination with it, and am I the only one?
No, you're not. I don't agree with it. I don't understand it either because they get appointed to this. They're born into it. It's like, okay, well, what do you got to do this? Well, you just got to be, it's like, that's why I like the movie King Ralph with John Goodman. Have you ever seen that? Where he's just a normal guy and he's like the third in line, and then a couple of people die, so he's now, with his royal lineage, he gets to be the king, and it's a funny movie on the whole royal thing. But I never understood it. I mean, when I was growing up, Princess Diana got married, and Prince Charles. It was a whole to do. I think Luke and Laura's wedding was a little more impressive on General Hospital back then. But
special moment of all time.
Absolutely, that was like 1981. I don't know how you remember that, but
no, I do. I remember. I remember it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But looking at the royal family, but now at least I have a little bit of, they have a little bit of compassion apparently. So that makes them good. Now, Lori, so this is episode number 92 of Len's Burning Bush. We're on YouTube now, so you could like, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever you could do on YouTube. If you're doing now, please do that. We got to get some more subscribers on the YouTube channel. Okay. Although I don't know if anybody really wants to see me. The video portion. They like the audio, but I don't know how many people are liking the video. But comment if you like the video, if you're used to the audio, if you listen, if you do. But you can like Len's Burning Bush on Facebook, also at Len's Burning Bush. You can follow along at Len's Burning Bush on Twitter. As I mentioned, we have the YouTube channel. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. You can even ask Alexa to play Len's Burning Bush, do Len's Burning Bush podcast. I say this every week, but you don't know what you're going to get when you say Len's Burning Bush on Amazon. So make sure you say podcast. We are all over the states. People are listening in other countries. Thank you to do that. I don't know why, Lori, but it is fun. There's so many things. I can't believe this is 92 episodes, and that just makes me, each week I just keep doing it.
Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment.
Well, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you coming on. I will have you again. And just because you were number 92 doesn't mean you're less important than the other people that were on. You will come on again. I'm just working through this. I've got to, think through. I never really thought number-wise, but 100's coming up. So I got to start thinking about how I'm going to do the 100th episode of Len's Burning Bush. I got to be honest, week to week, I don't know what I'm going to talk about until it almost happens. So that's the kind of creative. The mind just works a little bit differently. But thank you, Lori Bordonaro, Esquire. Lori Bordonaro, as I knew you. I'm Len Harvey. We'll be back with another episode of Len's Burning Bush next week. So long.